The massive alien ship floated in space like a crystal mountain. Princess Zara stood at the tall windows of the royal viewing room, watching three small human ships approach. They looked so tiny next to her father's flagship, like insects flying toward a giant. Zara had 4 arms, just like all her people. Her skin was hard and clear like crystal, but it could change colors with her feelings. Right now it was a worried blue-green. She did not know why these humans made her feel this way. "They are so small," said her father's advisor, General Corks. He stood behind her with his arms crossed. "How can such weak creatures think they can speak with the great Emperor Vex?" Zara said nothing. She watched the human ships dock with their vessel. Soon, the humans would walk into the throne room. Soon, her father would decide if humans could join the other races in the Galactic Council, or if they would become slaves. The throne room was huge. The walls were made of the same crystal as Zara's skin, but they glowed with soft light. Emperor Vex sat on his throne, which was carved from a single giant crystal. He was much bigger than Zara, and his 4 arms were thick with muscle. His crystal skin was dark red, the color of anger and power. Hundreds of Keltharian nobles filled the room. They were all tall and strong, with their 4 arms and crystal skin. They looked down at the entrance, waiting to see these strange humans. The great doors opened. 3 humans walked in. Zara had seen pictures of humans before, but seeing them in person was different. They were so small. They had only 2 arms each. Their skin was soft and pink, not hard like crystal. They looked like they would break if someone touched them too hard. But something about them made Zara feel strange. They walked with their backs straight. They did not look scared, even though every Keltharian in the room could break them with one hand. The human in front was older than the others. His hair was gray and his face had lines on it. He wore a blue uniform with metal pieces on his chest. Behind him walked a woman with dark hair and a man with light hair. They all wore the same blue uniforms. "I am Captain Jake Miller of the human ship Aurora," said the man in front. His voice was calm and clear. "This is Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez and Dr. Ben Clark." Emperor Vex leaned forward on his throne. When he spoke, his voice was deep and loud, like thunder. "So, these are the humans who think they deserve a place among the great races of the galaxy." "We do not think we deserve it," said Captain Miller. "We believe we have earned the right to ask for it." Angry sounds came from the nobles. How dare this tiny creature speak to their emperor like this? But Emperor Vex held up one of his hands for silence. "You have traveled far to come here, humans. You must know our ways. You must know that the Keltharian Empire has ruled this part of space for thousands of years." "We know," said the woman, Lieutenant Rodriguez. "Then you know that we decide who joins the Galactic Council through combat," said the Emperor. "The old ways, the honorable ways, single combat between champions." Zara felt her skin turn a darker blue. She had hoped her father would not choose this path, but she knew he would. It was the Keltharian way. Captain Miller nodded. "We understand." "Good," said Emperor Vex. He stood up from his throne. He was huge, almost 3 times as tall as the humans. "I challenge humanity to single combat. Your greatest warrior against me. If you win, you may join the council. If you lose, your people will serve mine." The nobles made happy sounds. They knew their emperor was the greatest fighter in the Empire. These soft humans had no chance. But Captain Miller just smiled. It was a small smile, but Zara saw something in it that made her worry. "We accept your challenge, Emperor Vex." "Excellent," said the Emperor. "Present your champion. Let me see this great human warrior." Captain Miller looked at his two companions. The woman smiled back at him. The man with light hair gave a small nod. "We choose our own methods and our own fighter," said Captain Miller. Emperor Vex laughed. It was a loud sound that filled the whole room. "Very well. Your methods mean nothing. Your fighter will still fall before Keltharian's strength." "Perhaps," said Captain Miller. "But we will choose how we fight." Something in the way he said it made Zara's skin turn almost purple with worry. She looked at the three humans again. They were so calm. Too calm for people who were about to watch their champion die. "The combat will take place in 3 days," said Emperor Vex. "On the ritual combat moon of Zarian. There, all can see Keltharian superiority." "That sounds perfect," said Captain Miller. Dr. Clark stepped forward. "Might we study the rules of combat and the arena where it will take place?" "Of course," said General Corks, "though it will not help you. The rules are simple. 2 enter, 1 wins. No tricks, no hiding, no running away." Zara saw Captain Miller and Dr. Clark look at each other. Something passed between them, like a secret message. "We understand," said Dr. Clark. "No tricks." But the way he said it made Zara think he meant something else. The meeting ended soon after. The humans were given rooms on the ship. They would stay until the combat day came. That night, Zara could not sleep. She kept thinking about the 3 humans. They had been too calm, too ready to accept what seemed like certain death. She went to the viewing room and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth, the human home world. What kind of people lived there? What made them so confident? "You are worried about the humans," said a voice behind her. Zara turned. Her father stood in the doorway, his red crystal skin glowing softly in the dark. "Yes, father," she said. "Something about them is strange." Emperor Vex walked to stand beside her. "They are brave. I will give them that. But bravery means nothing without strength." "But what if they have a different kind of strength?" Zara asked. Her father looked at her with surprise. "What do you mean?" Zara was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "What if they do not think about fighting the same way we do?" Emperor Vex laughed, but it was not as loud as before. "There is only one way to fight, daughter. The strong defeat the weak. The honorable defeat the dishonorable. This has always been true." "Yes, father," said Zara. But deep inside, she wondered if that was really true. 3 days felt very short. Soon her father would face the human champion. Soon everything would change. She just hoped it would change in a way that did not destroy them all. Princess Zara could not stop thinking about the humans. While her father and his generals planned for the combat, she found herself watching the 3 visitors through the ship's security screens. The humans had been given rooms in the guest section. Most visitors would spend their time training for combat or praying to their gods. But these humans did strange things. Captain Miller sat at a small table reading files on a computer screen, but he was not reading about weapons or fighting techniques. He was reading about Keltharian history and laws. Why would someone do that before a fight? In another room, Lieutenant Rodriguez did something even stranger. She sat on the floor with her legs crossed and her eyes closed. She did not move for hours. Zara had seen meditation before, but this was different. The woman looked like she was listening to something no one else could hear. Dr. Clark was the strangest of all. He spent his time studying maps and weather reports from Zarion, the combat moon. He looked at rocks and soil samples. He studied gravity readings and magnetic fields. What did any of that have to do with fighting? "They are not preparing properly," said General Quarks when Zara asked him about it. "They will lose because they do not understand real combat." But Zara was not sure. The humans acted like people who knew something important, something the Keltharians did not know. On the second day, Zara made a decision that broke many rules. She went to visit Dr. Clark. She found him in the ship's library, reading old books about Keltharian combat traditions. He looked up when she entered, and his face showed surprise. "Princess Zara," he said, standing up quickly. "This is an honor." "Please, sit," said Zara. "I wanted to talk with you." Dr. Clark sat down again. He closed the book he was reading, but not before Zara saw the title. It was about the ancient combat laws of her people. "You are studying our history," she said. "Yes," said Dr. Clark. "Your people have fascinating traditions, very honorable." "But you are not preparing to fight," said Zara. "Why?" Dr. Clark smiled. It was the same kind of smile Captain Miller had given her father. Calm but hiding something. "We are preparing," he said, "just not in the way you might expect." "I do not understand," said Zara. "In 2 days, someone must fight my father. Someone must be your champion. But I see no weapons training. I see no strength building. What kind of preparation is this?" Dr. Clark was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Princess, may I ask you a question?" Zara nodded. "When your people first learned to fight, what did they do?" "They trained with weapons," said Zara. "They built strong bodies. They learned honor and courage." "Yes," said Dr. Clark. "But before that, when your people first had to survive, what did they do?" Zara thought about this. They learned to use what they had. They adapted to their world." "Exactly," said Dr. Clark. "They used their minds." "But this is combat," said Zara. "This is about strength and skill." Dr. Clark picked up the book again. "Your laws say the combat must be between 2 fighters. They say no tricks, no hiding, no running away. But do they say how someone must fight?" Zara felt her skin change to a confused yellow color. "What do you mean?" "I mean," said Dr. Clark, "that your father asked for our greatest fighter. He will get exactly that." The way he said the word fighter was strange, like it meant something different to him. "Who is your champion?" Zara asked. Dr. Clark looked at her for a long moment. Then he said, "That is the right question, Princess. But maybe you should ask what makes someone a fighter." Before Zara could ask more questions, Dr. Clark's communication device made a sound. Captain Miller was calling him. "I must go," said Dr. Clark. "But, Princess, remember this. Your people fight with honor. That is beautiful. But humans fight to win." After he left, Zara sat alone in the library. She picked up the book Dr. Clark had been reading. It was full of combat laws that were thousands of years old. Someone had made notes in the margins. The notes were in human writing. The notes pointed out things Zara had never noticed before. Small words in the laws that could mean different things. Rules that seemed clear but actually left room for interpretation. What were the humans planning that night? Zara had strange dreams. She dreamed of a small creature fighting a giant monster, but the small creature did not try to hit the monster. Instead, it made the monster hit itself. It used the monster's own strength against it. She woke up, feeling worried and excited at the same time. On the third morning, the day of combat, Zara went to see the humans one last time. She found them in their meeting room eating breakfast. They looked calm and rested. "Good morning, Princess," said Captain Miller. "Today is the big day." "Yes," said Zara. "Are you ready?" "We are ready," said Lieutenant Rodriguez. "Who will fight?" Zara asked directly. The three humans looked at each other. Captain Miller put down his drink and stood up. "I will fight," he said. Zara's skin turned pale blue with shock. "You? But you are not a warrior. You are a ship captain." "I am many things," said Captain Miller. "Today I am your father's opponent." "But you cannot win," said Zara. "My father is the greatest fighter in the Empire. He has never lost a battle. He is 3 times your size and 4 times your strength." "Size and strength are not everything," said Dr. Clark. "Then what is?" asked Zara. Captain Miller walked over to the window. Outside, Zara could see the combat moon of Xerion getting bigger as they approached it. "Understanding," said Captain Miller. "Your father thinks he knows what this fight will be. He thinks he knows his opponent, but he is wrong about both." "I do not understand," said Zara. "You will," said Lieutenant Rodriguez gently. "We all will." The ship reached Xerion a few hours later. Thousands of Keltharian nobles had come to watch the combat. They filled the crystal arena that was built into the moon's biggest canyon. Zara sat in the royal viewing box with her father. Emperor Vex was wearing his full combat armor. It was made of the hardest crystal and metal in the Empire. His weapons were charged and ready. He looked like a god of war. Below, in the arena, Captain Miller stood alone. He wore only his simple, blue uniform. He carried a small pack on his back. He had no visible weapons, no armor, no shield. The crowd was laughing and making jokes. This tiny human thought he could fight their emperor? It was ridiculous. But Zara was not laughing. She looked at Captain Miller's face. He was studying the arena like Dr. Clark had studied his maps. His eyes moved over every rock, every energy field, every piece of the arena's structure. He was not looking at her father at all. "Something is wrong," Zara whispered. "What did you say?" asked her father. "Nothing, father," said Zara. But inside she felt a growing fear. The ritual announcements began. Soon the combat would start. Soon, either her father would win easily, or something terrible and unexpected would happen. Zara found herself hoping for the easy victory, but deep in her heart, she knew it would not be easy at all. The humans had been too calm, too confident, too different, and now she was about to find out why. The combat moon of Xerion was not like other worlds. It had been chosen for fighting because it was dangerous and hard to survive on. The arena was built inside a deep canyon made of crystal that glowed with its own light. Princess Zara looked down from the royal viewing platform. The arena floor was covered with strange rocks that could move by themselves. Energy storms crackled through the air every few minutes. In some places, gravity was stronger or weaker than normal. It was a place designed to test the greatest warriors. Thousands of Keltharian nobles filled the crystal seats carved into the canyon walls. They had come from across the Empire to watch Emperor Vex destroy this foolish human. The arena buzzed with excited conversation and laughter. "Look at him," said General Corks, pointing down at Captain Miller. "He has no proper weapons, no armor. He will be dead in seconds." Emperor Vex stood at one end of the arena. He was magnificent in his royal combat armor. The crystal plates glowed with power. His 4 arms held different weapons: a plasma rifle, an energy sword, a shield generator, and a gravity hammer. Each weapon could kill a dozen normal fighters. At the other end of the arena stood Captain Miller. He looked even smaller next to the enormous space. His blue uniform was the only color that was not crystal or metal. His small pack seemed like a joke compared to the Emperor's weapons. But Zara noticed something others did not. Captain Miller was not looking at her father. He was looking at everything else. His eyes moved over the moving rocks, the energy fields, the gravity wells. He was learning the arena, citizens of the Empire, announced the combat master. His voice echoed through the crystal canyon. Today, we witness the ancient trial of strength. Emperor Vex, defender of the Keltharian way, faces the human challenger. The crowd cheered. Crystal skin flashed with excited colors throughout the arena. The rules are simple and ancient, continued the combat master. 2 fighters enter, 1 fighter wins. No tricks, no hiding, no running from combat. Victory comes through strength and honor. More cheers filled the air. Everyone knew the Emperor would win quickly and easily. "Human!" called the combat master. "State your name for the records." Captain Miller stepped forward. His voice was calm and clear, even though he had no electronic help to make it louder. "I am Jake Miller, captain of the human exploration ship Aurora. I speak for all humanity." "And you understand that this combat will decide the fate of your entire species?" asked the combat master. "I understand," said Captain Miller. "Emperor." "Vex!" called the combat master. "Are you ready to defend the honor of the Empire?" Emperor Vex raised all 4 weapons into the air. "I am ready to show these humans their place." The crowd roared approval. The sound was like thunder in the Crystal Canyon. But then Captain Miller did something unexpected. He raised his hand and spoke. "Before we begin," he said, "I want to make sure everyone understands the rules." Emperor Vex looked confused. "The rules are simple, human. We fight until one of us cannot fight anymore." "Yes," said Captain Miller. "But the combat master said no tricks, no hiding, no running from combat. I want to be sure what that means." General Corks laughed from the viewing platform. "It means you must face the Emperor with honor, not like a coward." "I see," said Captain Miller. "So I must stay and fight. I cannot leave the arena." "Correct," said the combat master. "And I cannot hide behind things or under things," said Captain Miller. "Correct," said the combat master again. "And I cannot run away from the Emperor," said Captain Miller. "Yes," said Emperor Vex, getting impatient. "No running away." Captain Miller nodded slowly. "I understand, but the rules do not say how I must fight, only that I must fight." "Fighting is fighting," said Emperor Vex. "You use weapons and strength." "Perhaps," said Captain Miller. "But you asked for our greatest fighter. You never asked what kind of fighting we do." Something in his voice made Princess Zara's skin turn dark purple with worry. She grabbed her father's arm. "Father," she whispered, "something is wrong. Stop this." But Emperor Vex was too proud and too angry to listen. "Enough talk. Let us begin." The combat master raised his ceremonial staff. "Let the trial of strength begin." The staff came down. The combat had started. Emperor Vex immediately charged forward, all 4 weapons ready. He moved fast for someone so big. His crystal armor glowed with power. He was the perfect picture of Keltharian strength and honor. Captain Miller did something no Keltharian would ever do in combat. He ran, not away from the arena, not to hide, but sideways, moving along the arena wall. The crowd made angry sounds. "Coward!" they yelled. "Stand and fight!" But Captain Miller was not running like a coward. He was running like someone with a plan. He reached a section of the arena wall where loose crystal rocks hung overhead. As Emperor Vex chased after him, Captain Miller pulled something from his pack. It was a small device that made a sharp, high sound. The sound hit the crystal rocks above. They began to shake and crack. "What is he doing?" asked General Corks. Emperor Vex fired his plasma rifle at Captain Miller. The energy blast hit the arena wall right where the human had been standing. But Miller was already moving again. The loose rocks fell where Emperor Vex was standing. The Emperor had to jump backward to avoid being crushed. His perfect charge was broken. "Clever," said Captain Miller, still moving. "But let me show you something better." He pulled another device from his pack. This one he threw into one of the arena's energy storms. The device exploded with a bright light. The energy storm began to move in a different direction. Instead of crackling randomly through the air, it started to follow a path that led toward Emperor Vex. "What is this?" demanded the Emperor. "What are you doing?" "I am fighting," said Captain Miller. "Just not the way you expected." Emperor Vex had to move quickly to avoid the redirected energy storm. But as he moved, he stepped into one of the arena's gravity wells. His heavy armor, perfect for normal combat, became a problem. The stronger gravity pulled him down and slowed him. Captain Miller was already moving again. He seemed to know exactly where every danger in the arena was located. More than that, he was using those dangers as weapons. Princess Zara watched in amazement and growing fear. "He is not fighting, Father," she whispered. "He is fighting the arena itself." "That is impossible," said General Corks. "No one can control the arena." But as they watched, Captain Miller proved him wrong. The human was not trying to match Emperor Vex in strength or weapons. He was turning the entire arena into his weapon, and Emperor Vex, for all his power and skill, had never faced anything like this before. The Emperor fired his gravity hammer at a rock wall, trying to bring it down on Captain Miller. But the human had predicted this. He was already somewhere else, and the falling rocks created a new barrier that protected Miller from the Emperor's plasma rifle. "This is not honorable combat," shouted Emperor Vex. "You asked for a fight," called back Captain Miller. "You never said what kind of fight." The crowd was no longer laughing. They were starting to understand that their Emperor was not winning easily. Some of them were even starting to worry. Princess Zara felt sick. She finally understood what Dr. Clark had meant. Humans did not think about fighting the same way Keltharians did. Her people fought with strength and honor. Humans fought to win, and right now, the human was winning. Emperor Vex was angry now. His crystal skin glowed bright red with rage. This tiny human was making him look foolish in front of his entire empire. He charged again, faster this time, using all 4 weapons at once. Captain Miller ran again. But, this time, he ran toward one of the arena's most dangerous areas. There was a section where the gravity changed every few seconds. Light gravity, then heavy gravity, then normal gravity. Most fighters avoided this area because it was too unpredictable, but Captain Miller ran straight into it. "He has made a mistake," said General Corks from the viewing platform. He has trapped himself. Princess Zara was not so sure. The human had not made any mistakes yet. Emperor Vex followed Miller into the gravity field. When the gravity was light, both fighters moved fast and could jump high. When the gravity was heavy, they both slowed down. But something strange happened. Captain Miller seemed to know when the gravity would change. He jumped just before it became light, flying much higher than should be possible. He moved just before it became heavy, avoiding the crushing force. Emperor Vex, in his heavy armor, was not so lucky. When the gravity became heavy, he sank down like a stone. When it became light, his armor made him clumsy and hard to control. "How does he know?" whispered Princess Zara. The answer came when she saw Captain Miller looking at a small device on his wrist. He was not guessing when the gravity would change. He was measuring it. "He studied the arena," she said suddenly. "For 3 days his people studied maps and measurements. They know everything about this place." General Corks heard her. "That is impossible. No one can predict the arena's changes." But Captain Miller was proving him wrong. The human was not just surviving the arena's dangers. He was using them like tools. Miller pulled another device from his pack. This one looked like a small mirror. He held it up just as Emperor Vex fired his plasma rifle. The energy blast hit the mirror and bounced back toward the Emperor. Vex had to dodge his own weapon. The crowd was getting quieter. Some of the nobles were starting to look worried. This was not going the way it was supposed to go. "Stand still and fight like a warrior," shouted Emperor Vex. "I am fighting like a human," Captain Miller called back. "And humans fight to win." Miller threw the mirror device at another energy storm. It reflected the storm's power and sent it spinning in a new direction. Now there were 2 energy storms moving through the arena, both under Miller's control. Emperor Vex found himself dodging and running instead of attacking. The perfect hunter had become the hunted. But the Emperor was not defeated yet. He was still stronger and better armed. He fired his gravity hammer at the arena floor, creating a crater. Then he used his shield generator to protect himself from the energy storms. "You cannot run forever, human," he shouted. "I do not plan to," said Captain Miller. The human pulled his largest device from his pack. It looked like a metal box with lights on it. He set it down near the center of the arena and pressed some buttons. "What is that?" asked Emperor Vex. "Something your people never invented," said Miller. "A gravity manipulator. Humans learn to change gravity instead of just living with it." The device began to hum. Suddenly, the arena's gravity fields started to change. Not randomly like before, but in patterns. Patterns that Captain Miller had programmed. Emperor Vex tried to move, but the changing gravity kept pushing him in directions he did not want to go. His heavy armor, perfect for normal combat, became his enemy. The gravity fields moved him around like a toy. "This is not possible," said General Corks. "It is technology," said Princess Zara. "Human technology." But even she did not understand how advanced it was. The device was not just changing gravity. It was reading the arena's natural energy fields and using them to power itself. It was turning the arena's own systems against Emperor Vex. The Emperor tried to destroy the device with his plasma rifle, but Captain Miller had planned for this too. Every time Vex aimed at the device, the gravity fields moved him just enough to spoil his shot. "You are cheating," shouted the Emperor. "I am using tools," said Captain Miller, "just like you use weapons. The difference is that my tools think." This was the moment when Princess Zara finally understood. Humans did not just make tools. They made tools that could think and learn and adapt. They made tools that could change the rules of reality itself. Emperor Vex made one last, desperate attack. He threw all his weapons aside and charged at Captain Miller with just his natural strength. If he could reach the human with his bare hands, he could end this. But Captain Miller was ready for this too. He pressed one more button on his device. All the gravity fields in the arena suddenly focused on Emperor Vex. The Emperor, running at full speed, suddenly weighed 10 times more than normal. He crashed to the ground and could not get up. The arena was silent. Emperor Vex, the greatest warrior in the Keltharian Empire, lay on the ground defeated, not by superior strength or better weapons, but by superior thinking. Captain Miller walked over to where the Emperor lay struggling against the artificial gravity. "You fought with honor," said Miller. "But honor is not enough against someone who fights with their mind." He pressed another button. The gravity returned to normal. Emperor Vex could move again, but he was exhausted and defeated. "How?" gasped the Emperor. "We studied your arena for 3 days," said Miller. "We learned how it worked. Then we brought tools that could work with it. You tried to fight me. I made the arena fight you." Emperor Vex slowly stood up. His armor was cracked and his pride was broken. But he was alive, and he understood what had happened. "You did not break the rules," he said quietly. "No," said Captain Miller. "I followed them exactly. I stayed in the arena. I did not hide. I did not run away from combat. I fought you with everything I had. But you did not fight the way we fight," said the Emperor. "No," said Miller. "I fought the way humans fight, with our minds, our tools, and our willingness to change the rules of the game." The arena was still silent. Thousands of Keltharian nobles stared down at their defeated emperor and the small human who had beaten him. Princess Zara felt her skin change to colors she had never felt before. Fear, amazement, and something else. Respect. The humans had not won through strength or honor. They had won through intelligence and preparation. They had shown that there was more than one way to be strong. And now everything would change. The silence in the crystal arena lasted for what felt like hours. Emperor Vex stood in the center of the combat ground, his armor cracked and his pride shattered. Captain Miller stood nearby, calm and patient, waiting for what would come next. Finally, the combat master found his voice. The human has won," he announced. His words echoed through the canyon like thunder. Some of the nobles made angry sounds. Others sat in shocked silence. Their emperor, their greatest warrior, had been defeated by a creature they thought was weak and soft. Emperor Vex looked around at his people. Then he looked at Captain Miller. By the ancient laws of his people, he had to accept what had happened. "I am defeated," he said. His voice was quiet, but everyone heard it. "The human has won honorable combat. Thank you," said Captain Miller. "You fought bravely." "I fought like a fool," said the Emperor. "I thought I knew what combat was, but you showed me something different." Princess Zara watched from the royal platform as her father and Captain Miller talked. She could not hear their words, but she could see something changing in her father's face. The Emperor was learning, just like she was learning. After the official ceremonies ended, Princess Zara went down to the arena floor. She had to speak with Captain Miller. She had to understand what had really happened here. She found him packing his devices back into his small bag. Dr. Clark and Lieutenant Rodriguez were with him, helping to carry equipment. "Captain Miller," she said. The three humans turned to look at her. Captain Miller smiled. "Princess Zara, your father fought well." "No," said Zara. "He did not. He fought the way we always fight, with strength and weapons and honor. But that was not enough." "It was enough," said Miller gently. "It just was not the right way to fight this particular battle." Zara's skin changed to a confused yellow color. "I do not understand. You were smaller and weaker. You had fewer weapons. How did you win?" Dr. Clark stepped forward. "Princess, may I tell you a story about humans?" Zara nodded. "Long ago on our world," said Dr. Clark, "humans were not the strongest creatures. We were not the fastest or the most dangerous. Other animals were bigger and had better weapons. Sharp teeth, strong claws, thick skin. Then, how did you survive?" asked Zara. "We learned to think differently," said Lieutenant Rodriguez. "When a big animal chased us, we did not try to be bigger. We learned to be smarter." "We made tools," said Dr. Clark. "We changed our environment. We worked together. We adapted." "But that is not honorable combat," said Zara. Captain Miller looked at her seriously. "Princess, honor is important. Your people's way of fighting has honor and beauty. But humans learned something different. We learned that the best fight is the one you do not have to fight at all." "What do you mean?" asked Zara. "I mean," said Miller, "that if I had fought your father with weapons and strength, many people might have died. Maybe him, maybe me, maybe others. But this way, we both learned something, and nobody had to die." Zara thought about this. "You could have killed him." "Yes," said Miller. "The gravity device could have been set much higher. But why would I want to kill a brave warrior? Why would I want to make you sad by hurting your father?" This was something Zara had never heard before. In Keltharian combat, the goal was always to defeat the enemy completely. But humans seemed to think about other things too. "You said my father asked for your greatest fighter," said Zara. "But you are not a soldier. How are you our greatest fighter?" Miller smiled. "What makes someone a fighter, Princess?" Zara thought about this. "Strength, skill with weapons, courage." "Those are good things," said Miller. "But humans think a fighter is someone who can solve problems that seem impossible, someone who can find a way to win when winning seems hopeless." "And you can do that?" asked Zara. "I have been doing it my whole life," said Miller. "Every human has. We are not strong like you. We are not naturally armored. We do not have 4 arms, so we had to learn to fight with our minds." Dr. Clark pulled out a small computer and showed Zara some pictures. "This is our home world, Earth. Look at these creatures." Zara saw images of animals that looked dangerous. Big cats with sharp teeth, giant bears with claws, poisonous snakes. "Humans lived with all of these," said Dr. Clark, "and we were weaker than all of them. But now, thousands of years later, we are the ones who travel between stars. Not because we were stronger, but because we were smarter." "You adapted," said Zara slowly. "Yes," said Lieutenant Rodriguez. "And we never stopped adapting. Every problem we faced, we found a new way to solve it. Every enemy we met, we learned how to defeat them without becoming like them." Zara looked back toward the royal platform where her father was talking with his generals. They looked confused and worried. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now," said Captain Miller, "your people and my people learn from each other. You can teach us about honor and courage. We can teach you about adaptation and creative thinking." "But some of my people will not like this," said Zara. "They will say humans are dishonest, that you do not fight fairly." "Fair is a human word," said Miller. "To us, fair means everyone has a chance to survive and grow. Your father had the same arena I did. He had better weapons and armor. He had every advantage except one." "What advantage did you have?" asked Zara. "I knew it was going to be hard," said Miller. "So I prepared for something hard." "Your father thought it was going to be easy. So he prepared for something easy." This made sense to Zara. "You expected him to be stronger than you." "Much stronger," said Miller. "So I planned for that. I brought tools that could work with the arena instead of against it. I studied until I understood the environment better than anyone else." "And if the arena had been different?" asked Zara. "Then I would have found a different way to win," said Miller. "That is what humans do. We adapt." Zara felt her skin changing to a new color. It was a bright, clear blue that she had never seen before. It was the color of understanding. "You are not just fighters," she said. "You are survivors." "Everyone is a survivor, Princess," said Dr. Clark. "Your people survived by becoming strong and honorable. Humans survived by becoming clever and adaptable. Both ways work." "But your way worked better today," said Zara. "Today, yes," said Captain Miller. "But tomorrow might be different. That is why we want to join the Galactic Council, so we can learn from people like you, and you can learn from people like us." Emperor Vex appeared at the entrance to the arena. He had removed his broken armor and looked smaller without it, but he also looked thoughtful. "Daughter," he said to Zara, "we must talk." Zara walked over to her father. "Yes, father?" "These humans," said the Emperor quietly. "They are not what I expected." "No, father, they are not. They defeated me without anger. They could have killed me but chose not to. They showed me respect even after winning." The Emperor paused. "This is a different kind of honor." "Yes," said Zara. "I think it is." Emperor Vex looked at the three humans who were waiting politely nearby. "They will change everything, you know. If they join the council, other races will learn their ways. Combat will never be the same." "Is that bad?" asked Zara. Her father was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "I do not know. But I think it might be good. If fewer people have to die in combat, that might be very good." The Emperor walked over to Captain Miller. "Human," he said, "you have won the right for your people to join the Galactic Council." "Thank you, Emperor Vex," said Miller. "But I have a question," said the Emperor. "Will you teach us? Will you show us these new ways of thinking?" Captain Miller looked surprised. "You want to learn from us?" "I want to understand," said the Emperor. "Today I learned that being strong is not enough. I want to know what else there is." "We would be honored to teach you," said Miller. "And we hope you will teach us too. Humans have much to learn about honor and courage." Princess Zara watched this conversation and felt something new growing in her heart. Hope. The humans had not just won a fight. They had shown a new way for different peoples to live together. As the three humans prepared to leave Zerion, Zara stood at the crystal windows of their ship. She watched her father's flagship growing smaller in the distance. Everything was different now. The galaxy had humans in it, and humans did not think like anyone else. But maybe that was good. Maybe the galaxy needed people who thought differently. Maybe that was how everyone would learn to be better. Zara smiled and touched the crystal window. Somewhere out there among the stars, amazing things were about to happen. Things no one had ever imagined before, all because one small human had refused to fight the way everyone expected him to fight, all because humans never stopped learning how to survive.